And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and the podcast. This one's probably only going to be on the channel though, since it's a live stream, but we're going to take a look at right now. Today is UFC 249. We're going to do a little bit of a live stream, really a Q&A base. So if you're watching this on the replay, welcome in. Be sure to smash that subscribe button. All those things that really benefit the channel, help us out here. But yeah, what I'm going to do here is Q&A base. I did build projections. I do have rankings up over on Patreon. I think I might actually show them on the screen here today. Won't do that every week, but just in terms of the people that do tune into this, not sure how many people will actually reach, but yeah, I have my rankings for all the fighters today, factoring in win percentages, factoring in a bunch of different outcomes based on the simulation that I run to try and see just how good of a play they are, try and base that against ownership. So I have rankings in right now for a couple of players. Only right now I'm only seeing two players that I have. I only have one player as an A in GPPs, two players that I have in the A vicinity. So I'm going to let some people file in right now. Again, if you're watching the replay, we're doing this live. I went live at 2:15 East Coast time. Going to stay on for maybe about 20 to 30 minutes, answer any questions that people might have. And I'll probably throw up right now, as we go through this, I'll probably just throw up the projections. So I'm going to grab these. I will be doing these weekly. There's a Millie Maker for the MMA, if nobody already saw that. So these are my rankings for cash and GPP. I'm personally not going to be playing cash, but I know that a lot of people like to play cash, have different preferences, have different expectations when they play. So I get all that. So this is what I'm looking at right now. I could also make it bigger and just kind of sort through it this way and just go through a little bit at a time. So that's where I'm at right now. These are projections. This is everything I'm doing. What's going on, Devin? I'm going to let people hop on in here. But the way that I look at this is obviously it's like a big leg of a parlay if you're trying to win first place, right? So it's very unlikely in a sense, but there are factors of predicting things, obviously taking into account ownership. $10 of free play. Use the promo code down below. Monkey Knife Fight, promo code Vetri. You also get $15 upon your first deposit, or all the way up to $55. So they have a lot of MMA contests right now, which is nice and refreshing because these sites haven't been hosting, especially SuperDraft, any paid for contests. So it's nice to see them actually getting out there. But yeah, the way that I'm looking at this right now is, look, I get it. I get that Cruz. Like, there's going to be knocks on Cruz. Obviously, you're waiting for somebody to come back after having a 3-year layoff, and he's done that before, and he's won after the 3-year layoff. But obviously, he's now 3 years older. What's going on, Damian? How you doing? Let's get a takedown tonight. Yeah, somebody took a takedown in KBO. Somebody knocked down the 50K. I got a screenshot in the Discord. So shout out to that person. I don't know if they'll end up watching this one, but yeah, I'm not going to be on Cruz. It's going to be a hard pass for me, but what that does is make, for me at least, it's going to end up making the messenger himself, Henry, it's going to end up making him an A for me. He's my only A right now in GPPs. He's my only A in cash. Obviously, as you see on the screen, I do have Tony Ferguson as an A-, and Ferguson might even drop down to a B+ before this thing starts off, depending on ownership. It's just the fact that he's going to be in a fight that I don't think it goes the distance by any means, but if it was to go the distance, you have extra rounds out of it, of course, as the main event rounds, those final 5 fight rounds. So it's a situation where even if he is chalky, if he does indeed win, which he's projected to, although not a major favorite, there's a really good chance that you're going to be in a situation where he just puts up a ton of points. And even if he doesn't and he wins in a short finish, that's even better. What do you want? You want quick finishes, or you want it to go the distance with a good amount of grappling, and those would be your ideal outcomes, either or. Do you have to have part of both of the 5-round fights? No, I don't think you do when there's 12 fights on the card. I would want to have probably a piece of one of them. But, like, let's be honest, Tony Ferguson, and I think that Ferguson right now and Justin Gaethje, like, I think there's a chance that it goes to 5 rounds, but these guys are just headbangers. It depends on the technique that they come in the ring with, but or the octagon, but they're just absolutely headbangers. So I wouldn't be shocked if it doesn't go the distance. So it's just like any other fight at that point where you're hoping for a first round knockout, second round quick finish, whatever it might be. And if that's the case, then the whole 5-round part of it is just you increase your upside if it goes the distance compared to rounds only going 3. But if you're just going to get quick finishes in those ones, it's the same as if you got them in another fight. So I do want pieces of it. Like, I want a lot of Ferguson personally here, and there's a decent chance that I'll have pieces of the other 5-round fights. So I think it's a guarantee. I think you need to have one of the fights. I would want somebody from one of these fights right here. So yeah, I think that Ryan Spann up top, like, he's not going to be a guy I get to a lot. I haven't updated the Vegas odds for today, but the biggest favorite on the slate right now, I think he's fine. Like, that big of a favorite over Sam Alvey. I have him as a B- in GPPs just because of the fact that he's really expensive, and I can just see him not putting up a lot of points. Like, he can score the 7th, 8th, 9th most points on the slate, even in a victory today, or the 6th most out of all the winners, and that's just really not going to get it done for me personally, especially at what likely is higher ownership when casuals just pay up. If you have extra money left over, let me buy the most expensive piece on the slate, because naturally you just think that means that person is expensive for a reason, which usually they are. Big favorite here in the MMA based off of Vegas odds mainly, but it's not something that I'm probably going to personally touch all that much myself. So Span's like okay. Vicente Luque, obviously we're going to have to change up some of this stuff now with these fights being canceled. So obviously X out the fight that is subject for the coronavirus in Jacques. So we're not going to be doing much with Sousa and Hall. But I do think that Luque is one of the better options as well in GPPs. Just overall upside right now, third highest projected player, only behind the Messenger and only behind Tony Ferguson. So I have a good amount of interest in Luque. He's probably my third favorite option when it comes to GPPs. Justin Gaethje, though, is up there as well. Like I obviously like a good amount of Tony Ferguson, but he's not an A and he's not an A+ for me because I'm not getting to like 90 to 100% of him because I like the other side of this as well. So I'll scroll down a little bit here. But I do like Justin Gaethje. You can see right here he's a B+ in GPPs for me. He's a B- in cash. He might even be a little bit lower than a B- in cash if we're doing an alphabetical ranking, maybe like a C, just because he is an underdog. But he has a ton of upside, right? He has the 5 rounds. He's going to be in a headbanging matchup, and there's no doubt in my mind that he can pull this one off. I don't think he does, but he definitely can. And if somehow this thing goes the distance and these guys are just these guys' chins are on and they're going 5 rounds just clobbering each other, then he's going to put up a ton of points as well. So have him as a B+, and I have Dominic Cruz on the opposite side of the Messengers contest as a B+ as well in GPPs, at least, because if Cruz was to pull this thing off, you're going to see a huge score at such a cheap price point. I really don't like anything, though, below Dominic Cruz in terms of like owning them at all. I have nothing above a D. I have a couple of Fs in Nico Price and Sam Alvey down here, meaning I'm going to have 0% personally tonight in both cash and GPP. And then what you have there is Rosenstruck and Oleinik, they're both Ds for me. So Oleinik would be the only one against Verdum that I would actually get to. Oleinik in GPPs, I might actually bump him up a little bit. His projection is going to look terrible because he's such a big underdog. But in terms of just trying to get different, Oleinik might end up being like a C or a C- for me, just the way that I'm looking at this. If you're looking for somebody under 7,500, I'd probably side with Dominic Cruz. But Oleinik, if you're looking for anybody below that, is probably the one out of these bottom 5 guys, starting at Jeremy Stevens, going down to Sam Alvey. Oleinik would be the one that I'd pull the trigger on and getting into some lineups. So we kind of covered 7,500 and below at Justin Gaethje. At the top end of it, Verdum is probably the guy that he's just a B for me, but he's a guy that out of all these players worries me the most in terms of like actually closing the deal and getting a victory out of all the guys, probably above $9,000. Like I feel good about Luque. I like him a lot. Ngannou, I feel okay about him. I think he's fine. Ryan Spann, I think, is actually going to pull off the victory. I just am concerned about how many points he can pull off in that victory. So like I don't think Ryan Spann's actually going to end up getting a quick finish or anything in that regard. So Verdum is the guy that would worry me the most in terms of actually losing his fight, but it's just picking between like a lot of close calls here. So Luque, anything at $9,000 or above, Luque at exactly $9,000 I'd probably get to, then Ngannou at 9,100, and then Verdum in that order. So Luque in that 9K and above range is the guy I'm targeting. If you're looking at the 7,500 and below, it would be Justin Gaethje. Anything below that, below the Dominic Cruz price point, for me would be Oleinik, although I'm probably personally not going to get to a lot there. So what does that leave us with? That leaves us with the 8K range and then sort of the upper 7K range. I'll kind of talk through those. I'll take any final questions. These right here, if you're getting to watch this is my premium content for MMA. A lot of stuff today in esports MMA, all across the board, but this will usually be behind paywall, so if you do want to get access to this in the future, you can check it out. Also, I would recommend Monkey Knife Fight is the promotion down below me. Check out Monkey Knife Fight, promo code Vetri. They'll give you a 100% deposit match up to $50 and an extra $5 since you came through my link for the MMA contest today, and Super Draft. Super Draft's contest was almost filled, but a really cool format, multiplier format. If you deposit over there in Super Draft, if you just sign up with the promo code, I believe it is Sal, just SAL. There's a link down below. You will get a free $10 to play with for the MMA stuff. So go get in there right now when you're listening to this. Take a second, check out the descriptions down below. But with that said, you can check out all the other stuff on Patreon as they come in the final weeks. A little self-plug there, why not? But yeah, I think in this 8K range there's a lot of appealing options. The one that I'm going to like the most is probably the Messenger, and then after that probably just Tony Ferguson. They're the easy ones. They're going to be the biggest favorites on the slate tonight, and they're probably going to be the highest owned players, but I'm likely not going to get different there. If anything, I can get different on the bottom end. Qatar is okay facing Stevens. I think he actually gets the victory. I'm not terribly trying to shoot for that, though. Qatar's price point is very interesting compared to some of these other favorites. Greg Hardy, I should talk about in some of these heavyweight fights. So Hardy's problem is, can he actually get a ton of upside in the scoring? He's also no lock to win today, in my opinion, against Jorgen De Castro, who I have as a C- in GPPs. I'm concerned about both of their upside in terms of scoring, especially Greg Hardy's. Thoughts on Rosa for a GPP? Jalen comes in. What's going on, Jalen? So thoughts on Rosa for a GPP. Rosa for me in a GPP is going to be an okay option. I guess that's like the best way to put it. I think that I would probably get to, definitely more Mitchell, obviously, as the favorite in that one. But Rosa in a GPP is somebody that I get to a decent amount. I have Rosa as a C+ in a GPP, so as close as a B as you can get to, which if I'm ranking this in terms of order of interests, that would be somewhere around like my I'll do it real quick for you. It would be somewhere around like my 8th or 9th favorite GPP play. So definitely not out of the question. I think the cardio on Rosa in general is going to be the thing that's the best. You have to try and land some of your just kicks, low kicks, whatever it might end up being at that point. I've never been submitted to this point, so I think you feel good there. So yeah, I think Rosa has a path to victory here. You can see if you can get some sort of grappling done. That's what you're really going to have here. You're going to have a variety of takedowns. Not a good striker at all, so you need Rosa to really come through with the takedowns. Am I confident in that? No, but do I think in GPPs when nobody else is confident in that, can it happen? Yeah. So this is just a stat sheet for anybody coming in right now. You can screenshot it if you want. This one's actually going to have some numbers on here or some columns in here that aren't hidden. Oh no, they're good. They're good. So yeah, that's just the stat sheet, and then this is everything. And I also have notes that I can probably throw up on Patreon as well for everybody over there. Pettis versus Cerrone. Yes, Pettis versus Cerrone for me is sort of like a toss-up, and I mean the Vegas odds are doing that as well. It's sort of a stay away. I would lean Cerrone there, but I don't have a strong stance, and Cerrone, I believe, is the underdog right now. Yeah, it's not really doing much for me. Personally, it's not going to end up doing much for me, and I'll pull up my notes on it. But yeah, I mean, you're coming off. It's just an odd spot here. Like Pettis is coming in as the favorite, although like recent fights, sure, Cerrone's on a 3-fight losing streak, but he's going up against guys like Conor McGregor, guys that would have easily beaten Pettis in my opinion as well. You get the size advantage from Cowboy in this one. He can win by grappling, he can win by standing up. If you're playing him in DFS, you want him to either stand up and finish this thing early, which we're not used to lately, or you want him to just let it last a little bit longer and grapple his way to a victory, and that's when you can end up getting a ton of upside there. So you have Pettis obviously winning the first fight, beat Cowboy in the past, but I'd lean Cowboy Cerrone here. I think at least for him, if he loses this one, then it's going to start to. I mean, you saw after the last fight, you ended up him just saying when he fought McGregor that he's still here. He's going to continue. There's questions around would he just take this fight, make a lot of money, and then retire, right? And the test dummy for Conor McGregor to finish the fight in record-setting time. But no, he's coming back now. He's going to fight Pettis. But if he loses this one, there's some major concerns there. So when you take that into account as well, like if Pettis loses this, there's no legacy concerns. Even though we're not talking about legacy so much for Cerrone as much as just like actually continuing to go out there and having the motivation and the fortitude too, but I'll take Cerrone on that side of it. Obviously, the Hall fight is going to be off right now. I don't want anything to do with Michelle Waterspoon or Carla Esposa. If you're not used to MMA DFS, just women fights don't usually have as much upside. They surely can. People can score 100 points in these fights, but you might be sticking around for like 70-point fights, and that's not something I want to touch there. So you can filter it down a good amount by just doing some of those things. You can filter it down pretty easily by having one less fight on the card because Jacri ending up getting the coronavirus, or at least rumored to, and I don't really know the full story, and I don't think anybody does yet, so we can't try and think about too much into that. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I just wanted to come on quickly, add any context. If you have any other questions right now live in the chat, please do let them be known. If you have not and you're watching this maybe on the replay, check out all the offerings, all the promotions. They help me out, but they also go in to help you out. You'll get a ton of free money, 100% deposit matches, $10 free if you want to play on Super Draft for the MMA stuff. You can also play their other contests as well, but pretty exciting. MMA is back. We're going to have sports returning over the next, probably within a month from now, we'll have MLB spring training apparently. Golf will be back. There'll be a Millie Maker for what's going on right now in the MMA on June 6th, so that's great. Football seems to be all good, so lots of good stuff's happening so far today. 3 picks for a parlay, asks Damien. Yeah, so personally, I'm not going to be sports betting on this. I'll be playing the DraftKings side of it, but it's very similar, right? Like I want my guys on DraftKings, so you can positively leverage it together with just parlaying the same guys that you have in your DraftKings lineup, or at least some of them. So you want a 3-pick parlay. I mean, the guys that I feel the most confident about, they're favorites, so it's not going to get underdogs in there. So if you are looking for an underdog to try and spice things up a good amount, so those would be the 3 guys in like a parlay if you're trying to be safe and just trying to secure some money, but obviously any of them could lose. But if you're trying to really spike some upside in there and get an underdog in there, I'd feel good about going to Lucre, Henry or Ferguson. Put any 3 or put any 2 of those guys in there, and then adding your third one in. I would choose the other side of the Cruz and Gaethje, whichever one you didn't pick as your winner there as the underdog. Or if you really want to get risky, Oleinik against Verdum I think is at least an interesting one to really spike an upside for your parlays. Obviously, as a big underdog, like a plus 250 underdog, it's not likely, but if that does hit and that's in your parlay, you better hope the other things hit. So maybe just an outright bet on Oleinik at plus 250, but throwing it into the actual parlay, the stack itself, I don't think is a terrible idea. All right, that's where I'm at. I'm going to put up the end screen right now. Thank you. I appreciate you all tuning into this one. Before you do indeed leave, hit the subscribe button. Take a second, bottom corner, a notification bell. I'm putting out a ton of content daily in the NFL space, getting a lot of positive feedback. I'm excited for about 1 to 2 months from now when NFL starts to get really heavily researched. I think we can do a lot of special things with this channel. So appreciate all your continued support there, continued support everywhere else over on Patreon, things like that. So if you want to support me over there, you can. The link is down below. We're continuing to have a ton of esports. There's like 7 things that we posted today. It was wild. But also MMA, golf will be getting back into the swing of things. Korean baseball, if that's your cup of tea, we got it. But appreciate it, everybody. Thank you. My name's Sal. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay safe. Peace out, gang, and enjoy these fights.